Do you want to be a millionaire? Well, everything you require is going to require something of you.
Why do you think celebrities call this the game?
When you say this is a game and you understand the rules, you can win at life. Successful people abide by between 5 to 7 rules. One is they do what they absolutely do not want to do and they do it first. So there's the rules. That's a game. If you decide, hey, I could do those things, if you do that, you won't even have to go to success. It will come to you.
Today, we are going to be talking about the power of belief and playing the game of belief with your own life with none other than Marisa Peer. I was listening to a variety of speeches and there were a couple quotes that hit me really hard that I want to get into, Marisa. The first one is that maybe the most important thing in daily life is the work of choosing what to think about and how to think every single day, whether that's in traffic, in grocery stores, in business, or in relationship. Talk to me about how I can start to recognize what I'm thinking about and how I'm thinking.
Well, everything is a choice. I work with a lot of clients who go, I'm so lonely, I've just moved to a village, I don't know anyone. I go, what are you doing to meet people? Nothing. Have you go to the local pub? Have you gone to the local hair salon? Oh no, I'm just at home alone. I'm like, that's a choice. You are choosing to disconnect because you could choose to join a babysitting circle, offer to walk some old people's dogs. You could choose to go to the nail salon just to meet people, even if you don't want to get your nails done. And I think we forget that happiness is a choice, connection is a choice, and how we think is a choice. You can go, I'm chronically tired, and go, is that a helpful thought? I might just be dehydrated, I might be a little bit tired, but we put these words like chronic, excessive in front of things, and it's a really bad idea. We have to really understand that your thoughts are way more than thoughts. They're a blueprint that your mind, body, and psyche must work to make real. You see, what we don't understand, and we should be taught in schools, is our body has no choice. It must act on our thinking. If you say, I'm losing my mind, I'm losing my shit, everything I touch falls apart, I always get ghosted, your poor body has no choice but to actually make that real, especially when you say physical things. I always gain weight, I always get sinus issues, I always react to food, I always get headaches. If you could look at your poor body and see what you are making it do just by thinking the wrong thoughts, because it doesn't have a choice, but you have a choice. You can choose to upgrade your thoughts, upgrade your beliefs. A belief is nothing more than a thought you think a lot. And we all need to understand the choice we have. Why am I saying that? Is that a helpful thought? People say, you always let me down. You never turn up on time. You always pay bills. Is that really true? Always, never. We know that these things aren't true. We're so busy upgrading the software of our computers and our phones. We have to upgrade this software all the time. Actually, one of the most magical sentences I ever came across, and I made it up myself, was this: I'm choosing this, and I'm choosing to feel great about it. I'm choosing to say no to cake and yes to mint tea. I'm choosing to say no to fries and yes to broccoli, but I'm also choosing to feel great about it. And when you use those two words together, I'm choosing to go to the gym and choosing to love it because I'm choosing to be healthy. The mind goes, oh, you have a choice here. You're making a choice. When you go, oh, I hate the gym, I'm making myself go. The mind goes, let me get you out of here. Life's so boring without cake, or life's no fun without alcohol. The mind will start to make these thoughts real. So we really need to upgrade our thinking. Use this word a lot. I'm choosing this. I'm choosing to feel great about it.
When you think about gratitude, how do you choose empowering beliefs? And what are the most powerful beliefs in your world for gratitude and having that connection?
I believe we should all have an aptitude for gratitude. In fact, there are two things that will influence your life: the ability to forgive and the ability to be grateful. So if you can forgive the past and feel grateful and for the present and really excited about the future, that can change your entire life. And I wake up every day and go, I love my life. I love my sheets. I love hearing the birds outside my bedroom. I love my cats being on the bed. I love my first cup of tea. I always say, oh, this is sensational. And if you can just do that when you wake up, it's so easy to make yourself love little things. And if you can love little things, that's wonderful because big things become amazing. But when you can get so much joy from little things, birds singing, children laughing, having time to eat breakfast, it sounds a bit Pollyanna, I know, but it really stands you in very good. What am I grateful for? Many years ago, John and I were in LA and somebody lent us a white Porsche and we were driving to San Diego and I was speaking at an event and he was complaining about the traffic. I'm like, no, this is amazing. We've got this this white Porsche being lent. We're driving to San Diego. We've been put up in this amazing hotel. I'm speaking at an event. We're being paid really well. We're so lucky. And it's a good thing to do that, to always think I'm lucky. Even when you have a problem, you have to say, is my problem someone else's fantasy dream? Would someone love a husband who leaves his underpants on the floor, a kid who leaves peanut butter marks on the fridge, a commute to work? Somebody would go, can I have that? I'd love to have to commute. I'd love to have a job to commute to, a boss that's a pain in the neck. And so when you can stop and think, is my problem someone else's fantasy? And what would I have given 20 years ago to have the problem of messy children? Because then you realize that you really are living someone else's fantasy dream life.
Sometimes, like throughout a week or throughout a month, I will get into these, what people would call a spiral, where maybe there'll be hours at a time or days at a time or weeks at a time where there's a lot of negative thoughts happening. And when you're in that space, it seems really difficult to like realize that you're there and come out of it. What would be your best practices to recognize when you're in that? How do you create anchors for yourself to sort of bring the awareness in? And then how do you create those better thoughts?
When you have a brilliant brain, which we all have, you have a choice every day. Talk yourself into something or talk yourself out of it. So you need to use your brain to talk yourself into good stuff and to talk yourself out of bad stuff. So last December, I got run over. I'd just come back to London. I'd been in America, then Peru. And it was obviously unfortunate. And I'm saying that word, I wouldn't say it's hell. It was just unfortunate. But I remember thinking, wow, thank God I got run over in London. Imagine being run over in Peru. I'd have been stuck there for 3 months. And so I think, I'm so lucky. I'm here. My husband's here. My daughter's here. I got run over pretty much outside my house in London. And then something amazing happened. I was very into Pilates and yoga. And my doctor said, you got to do really heavy weights now because your leg muscles, I have thin legs anyway, they'll just waste away. And I started to love heavy weights. And now I'm really into heavy weights. I never would have done that if I hadn't got run over. I'd still be doing yoga. Weirdly enough, if you can also say, what's good about this? What's good about being run over? So you can train your brain to go, what's good about this? I had a wonderful time in hospital. Everybody came to visit me. My daughter's husband, who I love, was making me food and bringing it in. And there were lots of nice things. So in the worst time, you have to think, what's good about this? What's great about this? I think some people find that slightly annoying. But once you start to do it, your brain starts to do it for you. It's like a biofeedback. You train yourself to go, what's good about this? And the brain starts to find things that are good about any situation at all. But always talk yourself into good stuff. Never say like, oh my God, I've got so much work on. This is killing me. I'm so stressed. I'm going to get an upset stomach now. This is ridiculous. I'm spending all weekend working. Say, how lucky am I? My boss thinks I'm amazing. He's given me this work. I'm a smart person. I can power through it. And I just think having little key phrases. One of my favorites is the people that matter don't care. And the people that care don't matter. And also telling yourself, I love it, I love it, I want it, I want it. When I was learning to lift like really heavy weights, I just say, I love it, I love it. And you could lie to your mind, my body loves it. You might hate it, but your body loves crunches, your body loves lunges. And I'm a great advocate of lie, cheat, and steal. Lie to your brain every day, cheat fear, and steal back phenomenal confidence and success.
I can already imagine myself in the future saying like, what's good about this, and terrible situations like getting your foot run over and giggling while I do it. So I think that's going to stick. And I think everyone is going to love that. When we are dealing with challenging situations, it's the two tools that you just gave there as an example. When we start setting these big dreams for the future, it seems to me like the bigger the dream, the more doubt tends to come in. What's your tool set for allowing people to feel more empowered about their big dreams they want to go after?
It's like people who say, I've learned to manifest, and I can now manifest a parking space in the middle of the West End. It's like, well, and I didn't want to go to lunch, and they cancelled. And I was like, well, but why don't you manifest something massive then? If you can manifest a car parking space in the middle of the West End or in downtown LA, then why not use that to go bigger? The thing is, with big goals, you can break them down. You can say, okay, I'm going to write a book. It's going to be a best-selling book. So the first goal is to write it, but write it with that in mind. How do I write a best-selling book? And great books often have a promise. When you want a big goal, you can have a big goal. But a lot of people think, oh, I've read The Secret. I'm going to just sit here and go, Om Shanti. It's all going to fall into my lap. And that's a mistake. In order to have a big goal and a big dream. And I don't even like the word dream, because when you say to the mind, I'm dreaming, I'm wishing, I'm hoping, it's not the same as I'm doing it, I'm making it happen, I am getting this. So the mind is very receptive to words, wishing, dreaming, hoping, is what I call being very wishy-washy. So when you want something, you have to do it in 3 steps. The first step, and it's the most important step, is to close your eyes and go, I'm worthy of this, I deserve it, I'm worth it, I'm worth it. Say you want to have your own business or be an outstanding coach or write a best-selling book. A lot of the fear is, oh God, no one's going to buy it. Who am I to write a book? Who am I to be a coach? I haven't even got my own life sorted out. And so all the doubt creeps in. So whatever you want, we can do it right now. Just close your eyes and go, I'm worthy of love, deserving of a fantastic relationship. I'm worth it. I deserve it. You've got to say it, state it, affirm it, embody. I'm worthy of a phenomenal career. I'm worthy of phenomenal wealth. And you have to stay with that, because you might say, I feel really angry when I do that, or I feel really sad. Actually, I think it's stupid. All of those things say one thing, you don't believe it. So stay with it until you do. Eventually the mind goes, oh, here you go again with that worthy, deserve it. You say it every day, it must be true. And it starts to sink in like butter sinks into hot toast. You know, your brain can no more reject your words than toast could reject butter. And it's a good thing to remember. When you've got familiar with I'm worth it, I deserve it, I'm worth it, I deserve it, go on to the next step, which is, what is this dream? Do you want to be a millionaire? Well, everything you require is going to require something of you. What do you have to do and learn to be a millionaire? You know, I know John Gray very well. When he wrote Men Are From Mars, he understood something. Writing a book is the easy bit. Making it a bestseller, it takes more work than writing the books. When I wrote my 7 books, I found writing a book easy, but the work you have to do to make that book sell, the research, the book tours, the writing articles for constant magazines every day to keep your book in the public eye is harder work. But if I require my book to be a bestseller, then it requires something of me. And I think that's the step a lot of people don't understand. What do you want, and what does it want of you? What do you require? What does it require of you? What do you have to do and learn and become to make that real? So when you have a goal or a dream or a vision, you've got to break it down. You know, one of my friends has got her own restaurant, but she worked in Starbucks for 2 years just to get that feeling of what her customers want. She just couldn't go out and open a cafe. So we're going to believe we're worth it. The second step is, what can I do? What can I learn? What can I become? And the third step is do it. But you can't do step 3 if you haven't done step 1. So when I wanted to be probably one of the best therapists in the world, I knew what that entailed. It entailed making a lot of calls, cold calling papers. Would you like to write about me? Hey, I just saw you did a thing on firewalking today. That I rang up Men's Health and said, hey, you got a piece on firewalking. You're a sportsman. This is kind of hypnosis. Would you like to write about proper hypnosis for athletes? They went, yes. And they wrote, they gave me my own column. I had my own column in Men's Health for several years. But I had to do something uncomfortable. I had to ring up every day, a magazine, a newspaper, and say, would you like to write about me? Some of them went, no. And others said, absolutely, we'd love to. Tell me more. You have to have the courage. But I couldn't have done step 3, if I hadn't done step 1. I deserve to be written about. I deserve to be a relevant, recognized, respected therapist. You might think, well, that's very arrogant. But I knew that was my gift. And when you're given a gift, the universe just go, hey, here's the gift. It's all easy now. You have to do the work. And I think people forget about the work. So believe you're worth it. Look at everything you have to do to make your dream real, and then go and do it. People say, oh, I've written a book where it's in a drawer. Why? Well, I couldn't find a publisher. I didn't want to be rejected. I had a great idea, and then someone else had the same idea, and then I couldn't take my idea to market. You know, Lululemon did not invent little black leggings. Dyson didn't invent a vacuum cleaner or a hairdryer. Joe Wicks did not invent exercise, and yet they had a belief that they could do something amazing with someone else's idea. So you can't do one of the 3 steps or 2. You must do all 3, and then not only will you go to success, it will come to you. So if people said, well, what do I do with this big dream? Break it down into 3 steps, and it will probably work.
When it comes to finding your gift in life, I'm curious to hear, and I'd like to double click on more of your gifts to see how you've put that together into being a great therapist and also a well-known one. So when we think about that, what are the components that you recognized in your own life where you said, oh, this is what I could do at the highest level? And I want to ask you that so that people can start to put together, and even I can start to put together, what are the various gifts that someone might have? Because you could have been many things. I think, a therapist is one of those things. You also, one degree over in an alternate dimension, you might have been a world-class coach, or you might have been a world-class teacher, which you are now. And there's a lot of like adjacent careers that you might have been world-class in as well. And I'm sure if we were in the multiverse with the Avengers, we could find those different Marissas out there. What are the component parts that you think make you world-class at these things?
It's very hard to be good at something you don't love. The trick is do what you love and to love what you do. I see so many people as I hate being a lawyer, I hate being an architect. And the thing is, when you're finding your way in life, you'll notice that when I became a therapist, I noticed immediately the energy I got working with clients was incredible. I got this feeling of rightness every day. Oh, this is what I meant to do. And sometime into that, I think ITV said, would you like to be a TV presenter? I'm like, oh, why not? And I went along, and it sounds like such a dream job, and I hated it. I had to get so excited about banana muffins. And I couldn't get the end. I kept saying, jump up and down and get excited. I said, well, show me. She said, oh, I can't do it. I can't show you how to do this. And I couldn't get the energy to do this television presenting. And I realized it was not for me. My daughter got scouted in London by a big model agency. She said, Mummy, I hated every minute of walking down that catwalk. I said, well, darling, that's not your thing. If you hated it that much, even though the dream is, wow, I'm modeling at London Fashion Show, that's a sign it's not for you. So if you're doing something and it doesn't give you that feeling of rightness, that feeling of energy, that feeling of, oh, this has got my name all over it, then I would say don't pursue it, because so many people in their 50s start to get depression because they go, why did I take this job? I never wanted this. My parents pushed me into the family firm. And I know when I'm speaking on stage, the feeling of rightness, the feeling of energy, the feeling, people say, how could you do that? I say, well, for me, it's the right thing. I couldn't be a gardener. I couldn't be a cook. But I feel right when I'm doing it. So always look for that feeling. I did many things. So I trained to be a teacher. I went to work for Jane Fonda teaching aerobics. I came back and worked for Pineapple Dance Studios. That was a huge thing. And I didn't like it all, but when I found therapy, and therapy certainly found me, I could go, oh, this is my calling, because it really was, because it felt right. And I think we're so removed from trusting our gut. If you go and live with a tribe in Africa, everything is about the gut feeling. And your gut is the second brain. So you should tune into that a lot, because just as you know when something's right, you also know when something is wrong, because it feels so wrong.
When you were young, I know you used to write stories, like fantasy stories about unhappy families. When you wrote those stories, did you write the resolutions to those issues, or did you write about just the issues when you were young?
I was very good at writing and very good at art. And when I was young, I thought I'd be an artist. My school said, you must be an artist. In fact, my daughter's an artist, and I love that. But my parents said, oh, you're not going to be an artist. I wanted to go to art school. They're like, absolutely not. You'll just end up a crazy drug addict. You're not going. They probably were right, because maybe that wasn't my thing. But I would always write these stories about families that had an absent mother. And it was always the eldest child would take over and parent, or they always lived in caravans and trailer parks. And it was so funny that my mother kept these and didn't really look at them and think, why was I writing about an absent mother? Because my mother was emotionally absent. She was there, but emotionally she wasn't there at all. But it was so funny that my mother kept them and said, oh, these writing is amazing, and you should definitely be a writer, and look at all the illustrations, but never saw. And now I can look at them as an adult, because I've still got them, and see what I was really writing about. And maybe that was the first insight into looking at things that are broken and seeing how could you. So I did write the resolution. Someone else stepped up and became the loving parent. And one of the things I do in therapy, one of our greatest gifts, is to have clients become a loving parent to themselves. And we have them go into hypnosis, and it's a particular format. My particular RTT has what I call 9 interruptions. So in therapy, we're investigating what's wrong, and then we're interpreting how it went wrong, interrupting the belief, and then installing a new belief. But one of the interruptions is to become this loving parent to yourself. So when I look at those stories, I can see, oh yeah, it's all about meeting your own needs. A lot of people say, oh, I never had love, and now I've just given up the belief I'll ever have love. Or they go, well, I've got to find someone to love me now to meet that need. And we don't understand that we can meet these needs. We should never give our needs to someone else. We should meet them ourselves because it makes us feel powerful.
What are your best practices for helping the people around us reinvent themselves and create better lives?
You reminded me of a teenage boy that came to see me many years ago who was predicted to end up going to jail. He was very angry, very aggressive. When he came to my office, the first thing he said to me is, if you get this wrong, I'm going to take your house off you. And no one's ever said that before. And I said, oh, you're a very hurt kid, because there's always a hurt behind anger. I said, tell me, why are you so hurt? He went, no one loves me. No one believes in me. Everyone hates me. I said, but darling, that's not true. First of all, your aunt who paid for your session believes in you. Secondly, I believe in you. Thirdly, by the time they say you're going to believe in you, now we've got 3 people who believe in you. A minute ago we had none. But what I was really saying to that boy is, if you have one person who believes in you, just one, it will change your life. For me, it was my grandmother, without a shadow of a doubt. And I've often said to all the people I train, be that one person for some unhappy kid. We only need one person. And for many therapists, they can be that one person. So if you want to change the world, which we want to do, but it's a big ask. Change people. Find someone who doesn't have self-belief and tell them, when I'm in the store, I'll say to us, tell it, oh, I love your nails, or you smell so nice. I always try to say something nice to someone. We always want to build other people's self-esteem, and praise is the fastest way to grow your own self-esteem and that of others. But if you can find someone who you can believe in, I know I am where I am today because my grandmother believed in me when nobody else did. But we only need one. We think we need a whole village. We don't. We need one person. And we can be that one person for so many people, which is an amazing thing.
Why do you think a lot of these celebrities, a lot of these people who have achieved so much call this the game of belief? Why do you think they use the word game?
I think game is quite a good game to use because you go, okay, this is a game. All games have rules, like a card game has rules, Monopoly has rules, Scrabbles have rules. If I'm going to play the game, what are the rules? There's a book called The Rules of Life and How to Play. I have something called The Rules of Your Mind. We have 23 rules of the mind, and many coaches say, you know what, that rules of your mind? I use it with every client. It's a game changer. And there's the word game again. So I think when you say this is a game and you understand the rules, you can win at life. I've made it my business to understand the rules of your mind so you can win at being successful, happy, loved, and healthy. And one of the rules of success is you must take action every day in the direction of your goals. You can't really take weeks off. You shouldn't even take a day off. Successful people abide by between 5 to 7 rules. One is they do what they absolutely do not want to do, and they do it first. They take action every day in the direction to their goals, praise themselves a lot. They do not take no for an answer, and they delay gratification. That's 6 things that people who succeed do. They all leave clues. So there's some rules. That's a game. If you decide, hey, I could do those 6 things, if you do that, you won't even have to go to success. It will come to you. People who play the game will do what they do not want to do to make their dream real. And people who fail will give their dreams up quicker than saying, I don't want to abide by those rules. I don't want to work nights, get up early. I mean, if you're an Olympic athlete, you get up, you scrape the ice off your car in the winter, you go running. You understand the rules. I've got to consistently do what I don't want to do to get that gold medal. So I think it's good to call it a game, the game of life and how to play it.
For all the people out there that might say, I don't know what my dream is, what would you recommend they do to find it?
Go back and have a look at what you love to do at the age of 7 and 14, or even 5 and 18. What did you love? Because we told the story about me writing stories, and now here I am. I've written a lot of books about self-help. So ask, what did I love doing? You see, Joan Malone would tell you, I was putting little petals into water and pretending to make perfume when I was 6. So go back and look at what did I love? What sparked joy? Because what you love to do in those key ages of, say, 6 to 16 is a key to what is your unique skill set. What did you love doing between the age of 6 and 16, by the way?
I had a Polaroid camera at my uncle's wedding when I was like 5, 6, 7, 8, somewhere in that range. And I was selling the photos to people at the wedding. So if you can imagine like a 7-year-old version of me in a tuxedo coming up to you with a Polaroid camera, taking your photo and then selling it to you at an exorbitant price. And people had to say yes because it was too cute. And then at one point it was so distracting to the wedding that they actually took the camera away from me and hid it. And then I decided to run away into downtown Minneapolis at that time. So that's the one story I remember.
And of course, what did you do as an adult? Photos and videos has been your career. Steven Spielberg would say when he was 8, he was shooting home movies. So if you look at people who've made it, they'll go back and say, oh, yes, I did that when I was 6. I loved that when I was 10. But just before you go to sleep, say, hey, mind, remind me what I love doing. Your mind is set up to answer any question you give it, especially just before you go to sleep. You go, hey, where have I put my passport? You'll wake up and remember. Hey, mind, remind me what I loved, what captivated me, engrossed me, gave me joy. Between 6 and 16. Do it every night for a few weeks and you'll find that you remember.
A lot of people may not know some certain things about you that I'll share all at once and then ask you a question. The first one is you've dealt with tremendous health challenges in your life, from getting your foot run over to having cancer twice, which you don't have now. And then in the love category, for the first 45, 50 years of your life, you consistently attracted men that you then found were unhealthy for you, and then you just changed. You just decided that you wanted something different, and you really attracted something wildly different than you had ever been attracted to before, and you're married to him now. And then in the abundance category, I remember when Phaedra was really young, and you share the stories that you needed to learn how to make money on the side, and it wasn't going to be enough as a single mom with Phaedra. What's the secret? You've overcome really significant challenges in all 3 of these areas. How?
It's a couple of things. One, it's choice, but 2, one of the rules of the mind is the mind likes what is familiar, and your mind is super coded and hardwired to go back to what it knows. And so, of course, I was a head teacher's daughter. My father was very interested in other people's children. He was paid to do that and not really interested in us. He wasn't a bad person. He was a wonderful person, but all his energy went into other people's children. So it wasn't a surprise that when I started dating men, my first boyfriend was absolutely adorable, and my second love of my life was just the most amazing guy. But in between, I did find myself being attracted to people who were busy, because with my father, I had to earn his love. I had to work for his love. I had to show him, hey, look, I'm here and I'm smart, but he wasn't really there. And so for a girl, when I was looking this week at Suri Cruise, who Tom Cruise doesn't see, thinking, that's just terrible. That's just awful for her. That's just wrong, because the first relationship a girl has with a man is with her father. So my father was emotionally absent, so it wasn't surprising that I picked men like that too. But then when I had the 2 lovely men, really lovely, I was actually very busy unraveling that because I didn't believe I was worth it. And then when I was a therapist, people would say to me, oh my God, you must have the most amazing relationship. You've changed my life. My marriage is amazing. And I thought, gosh, if you only knew. And then one day I thought, you know what? This is up to me to make beautiful relationship familiar. So I just looked at what I was doing. I remembered, of course, my grandmother who loved me so much, but I wasn't allowed to live with her. I was allowed to live with her for a little while. And then I had to go back because my father was a head teacher. He couldn't let me live with my grandmother. I knew that. And then I realized that that happened was that when I had that deep love with her, it was always going to end. And so that's what I did in relationships. I waited it for end, or I'd bring about the end early by being very difficult. And so I just decided, hey, I can make the unfamiliar. That was then, this is now. One of the things I do a lot as a therapist is get people to say, that's not me anymore, because... And all of our patients say, wow, that thing, that changed my life. It's easy, but its results are phenomenal. So I began to say, well, that's not me. I can make beautiful love familiar. It's a choice. And of course, at first, I was still attracted to those same crazy boys. And then I thought, no, I'm just going to make that unfamiliar. And that was a choice I chose. And then I met John, and he wasn't my type at all, but I knew that he was a great guy, funny, interesting. And I decided I'm going to make this familiar, and I did. And it's a choice. And the same thing with success. I'm going to make it familiar. When I was told I could never have a child, I'd never be able to get pregnant, I couldn't possibly carry a baby full term. And if I did, it would have everything wrong with it. I thought, I'm not going to believe that either. And I think for me, not letting in negative stuff has been very useful. I didn't start like that at 16, at 18, at 11, even at 24, let in a lot of negative stuff. But when I realized I could choose to only let in good stuff and to dismiss the negative stuff, that was such a game changer for me. And I often say to people, look, if you can let in praise and not criticism, that would change your whole life. Don't let in destructive criticism, but do let in praise. So we're coming back to this word choice so much because we've got to choose to stop saying it's hell for the first 2 years, you can't even sleep. Babies sleep all the time. When they're little, they sleep constantly. That's how they grow. Just go to sleep. And you don't iron their sheets and stop ironing their clothes. Just go to sleep when they sleep. I think it was the choosing. And of course, when I had cancer, I was very lucky because I'd already taught my brain to go, what's great about this? Which sounds so odd, but I had womb cancer. I thought, well, that's a stroke of luck because I don't need a womb, which I didn't. I'd already had a child. And so that probably sounds a bit irritating to people, but if you start to do this, well, that's a stroke of luck, it starts to do it back to you until you don't do it anymore. It's who you become. Self-esteem means, if I say, Skip, I hold you in the highest esteem, that's what I think of you, but self-esteem is what I think of me. And no one can give me self-esteem because it's what I think of myself. But I can elevate my sense of self-worth and self-esteem and self-value, and so can everyone. So it's really worth putting your energy into loving yourself. Don't waste it with some person that you're pursuing and chasing and working for. If you just put that energy into loving yourself, your life would change so dramatically, and that change would never go away.
Thank you so much, Marisa.
Thank you too. Remember, when your mind expands to new dimensions, it never goes back. Your potential expands as you go to it, and you can never know what your potential is because as you go to it, it expands again and again. So keep expanding. Don't contract, expand, go to new dimensions. Let your potential take you far because that's what it's meant to do. Check out my next video here.